And could you tell us a little bit about how you work with your clients in terms of, if they've got something they're working on, how much feedback do you give them? What's your sort of working relationship like with your clients?
It's kind of as collaborative as they want it to be. I mean, obviously, we're working together all the time on projects, or they're running ideas by me for the most part. Writers would be sending me pitches or short synopses or articles and links to true stories and saying, is there something in this? And you should say, go away and develop it a bit more and then try and find a home for it. I think as an agent, we're probably we're like that first line of quality control, where if I can see that there's the seed of something good in it, I'd say that you should probably flesh this out, and then we can go and set it up with a production company. And once it's set up with a production company, I think that's usually when I step back and let the experts do what they do best. But in terms of what we do identify as agents is we're speaking to broadcasters, financiers, and producers all the time. So we have a sense of what people are looking for, and that's where my kind of I suppose curation part of the job comes into it, where I can say, well, this kind of idea is really not the thing that people want to see now, or there's already a show that's in development or that's being made, so this probably won't go because they might be too similar. I know true stories are always a big thing. So when the GameStop story came out earlier this year, a few clients had asked about that. And there was like 3 other announcements for GameStop. There was a feature, there were 2 TV shows. So those kind of big stories get eaten up quite quickly. But and it's our job to kind of know what's being developed as well. So I would say it's a little bit of that curation and leaning into what makes the idea good before we then find the right home for it.
So, I mean, I kind of ran out of questions because you covered everything so brilliantly. I don't know if I asked you all I did. There was one question I was going to ask you, which I didn't. Is there anything you see, like a common mistake that kind of emerging writers or new writers make in terms of their pilots or their episodes?
It's not a common mistake. I just think that as an agent, you can only really go with the trends of what the market wants. Like, I know I sound like a complete businessman and with no artistic integrity, but as an agent, you really can just go with what the market wants. And sometimes if you could have written the best, historical epic, and the market doesn't want a historical epic right now, because they're very tough to make. And right now with coronavirus budgets, it's really hard to get a show with big scale, big period piece off the ground, because at the moment everyone's kind of making smaller productions and just trying to get them financed. So if the market isn't responding to that right now, that's not a reflection of the writer's writing. I think that's the thing where I would say emerging writers might feel like they're that negativity or your project not being picked up is a personal slight against your writing or you as a person or the script that you have to tell. But it's often not that. But 99% of the time it's because of just market reaction and what buyers are looking for at the time. So I would always say, if you think it's good, if you've kind of had other people's responses and feedback and they say it's good and you believe in your writing, then you don't feel disparaged by any knockbacks. And also I'd say, understand the reason why you wrote that project. So say you did have a big epic period piece and the market just wasn't looking for a show about the Tudors right now. If you can at least go into a meeting and talk about what compelled you to write that and why you wanted to write that specific show and why you think it's important, you can demonstrate to a producer that you have that awareness of what it takes for a show to be made, or why a show is important to make, or where you're coming from. And just that level of thinking also just puts you into a whole different realm of, okay, this person understands. And then that means next time when you get a steer that, we're not looking for a Tudor piece, but we could do with like a futuristic sci-fi piece, then you can bring that thinking and say, okay, well, I know what I need to do here because that's what the market wants. And this is the kind of themes that I want to be exploring. And let's put them together
Brilliant.
Yeah, that would be my advice there.
That's really, really cool. Would you advise writers to be working on a number of ideas at the same time, just to keep their slate?
Definitely don't put all your eggs in one basket. That is never a good thing. So, have a feature. If you're into writing for film and TV, have a feature spec that you're working on. Have a couple of TV ideas. I always tell my clients to have one spec pilot that they're working on, even if they have other projects in development, because it kind of, it will, the development process will probably just kill you sometimes, and it takes all the fun out of your show that you really wanted to work on. You're like passion piece show that you've set up somewhere, and you're just going through endless drafts and endless drafts. Eventually you're going to be so frustrated that the love of it might just die. So having something else that reminds you of why you love writing is always a good thing.
That's fantastic advice. Oh, brilliant. I guess finally, any advice you would give to the writers thinking of submitting to the competition this year?
Oh, no, just go for it. I think if you believe in your work, and if you think it's good, and if you've done, some of the things I've said about market research and knowing there's a home for it, if you're aware of what shows the BBC are picking up, say that. And if you're aware of what Netflix want and all of this, if you can see a home for the show, I think it's worth you kind of putting that into it and making sure that's clear. And then just submit the work. Make sure it's hitting all the beats and the episode is working. I would say that.